Well, I've always wanted to like be big in this, you know, like when I first started breaking, when I was like 14, I always wanted to be like, you know, like really big in this dance and stuff. Like I always kind of envisioned me being like that, and now like my vision is like a reality. You know what I mean?
My breaking name is J Rebel. I'm a member of the Supernaturalz crew, born and raised in Toronto in Jane-Finch neighborhood. 1998 is when I started breaking seriously. My OGs put me on to their style, which we call threading, or some people call it origami, which is essentially like you're moving your body through different holes in your body. You know, on the ground, you could be upside down, you could be doing it in a power move. So it's a very complex system of movements that interconnect and are interwoven, just like you would thread a shirt, right? Or bead something, right? So it's all interconnected. So that's the style that we practice in our crew. So obviously, if you're in New York, you see like a more traditional breaking style, which consists of footwork, top rocking and up rocking, get downs, the 6-step like I showed you. So they have their own vocabulary, they have their own context for their moves and their own like history. Obviously in New York is where hip hop originates in the 70s, but Toronto has always kind of been there on the cusp, and our history goes back to the 80s like we were talking about before. But when I got into it, like I was introduced to crews like Bag of Tricks, Intricate Crew, obviously my crew Supernaturalz, who kind of like picked up the torch from the 80s. I didn't know what I was looking at. Again, I was like, is this martial arts? Is it gymnastics? Like, I'm probably like 11 or 12 years old. I'm at home watching these guys on TV. A big event that used to happen in Toronto was the 416 Graffiti Expo. And that was just like it was just like an official jam. It used to happen on Queen and John, just behind Bamboo nightclub. And it'd be like, it's a graffiti expo, so people like painting on walls, ciphers, music and stuff like that. And I just remember that day, I just kept representing. Like, I was probably in the cipher like 50 times. Only had like 2 moves, but people seen that, I had that passion, and just my heart was in it. So I think from there, that's when, I really got down with Supernaturalz. And when I'm dancing, or when I'm J Rebel, or if I'm battling, or if I'm in this space, it's like almost like an outer body experience. Like you're doing things that, most people don't think are physically possible. You're changing the dynamic of the room. In 2010, Rock City solo anniversary, and then prior to that I was in Montreal, and prior to that I was in Korea. So like those are like the last three major like competitive like feats that I took, where I was like out there competing, doing my own thing. And I took a lot of L's, and that was like a bruise to my ego, I guess, and like humbling.
And what's the name of this battle?
It's R16.
Is it
Stands for Respect 16. So there's 16 different countries representing. So I'm going to be representing for Canada. So this is kind of like the equivalent of the Olympics of b-boying,
Okay. And you've been to Korea before?
Yeah, this is my second time. But I've never competed in a one-on-one this big before. First time I came here. Breaking is really hard, to judge, because like it's also an art, right? And at the end of the day, it's just like I break for myself and I do what I like to do. I'm not doing, I'm not dancing to please other people. Although I'm going on a stage and I'm being judged, and I have my crew there that's expecting things of me. It's like at the end of the day, I do what I do, and hopefully if they're feeling it, then I'll come through.
There's a TV station that came to do some post battle, interviews and stuff. So I was at the hotel with the other crews warming up, and I just jumped into Cypher, just being me, and different crews are going in, throwing down. Menno was there, Boren, a lot of top b-boys, like international b-boys. And the difference between being the big fish in your own city or whatever, and then going international is like everyone's a big fish, everybody's top tier, so everyone's just going in a Cypher, kind of like sizing each other up. And I went in 2 times. First time I went, everything was fine, you know what I mean? I pulled off a nice round and was feeling good, so I went in again. And then when I came off the dance floor, I went to bend down, and I just like threw out my whole back. 2010, yeah, it was the last time I really was on the dance floor like that, so. So I was just kind of like lost, just like wandering. But I still taught breaking, and I still was interested in, sharing my knowledge. So naturally, working with youth kind of came into the picture, you know what I mean? So I just started teaching youth at different community centers that I frequent, and just, and then from there that kind of led into other aspects of the community and youth work that I'm involved in, with education and mentorship and stuff. I became a lot more health conscious, I think, when I started getting hurt more, and started to leave a lot of my bad habits alone. So I became healthier in other aspects of my life, and in different ways. And yeah, especially for a lot of youth now, there's a lot of expectations that are placed on them from society, and then also from having to, I guess, pick up the baton, so to speak, and learn their languages, or learn their history and their culture, or or represent. I think that's a lot that puts a lot of pressure, It's a lot of indigenous youth, and youth in general gravitates towards hip hop for that same thing that I talked about earlier, the sense of identity, belonging, wanting to escape, and also healing, right? When you think about like the hip hop medicine wheel, as it's called, I started to learn more about what the symbol meant and how it interrelates with hip hop. When people look at hip hop, or when they look at indigenous knowledge or black folks, it's like we're always like either tokenized, or our knowledge or our lived experiences are never valid. You know what I mean? So there's that pressure that we put on ourselves, and like I said, from society, in terms of fitting in and trying to belong in spaces that historically weren't built for us, which is, the essence of why hip hop was created. Young people were creating spaces for themselves, whether it was in the parks, the gymnasiums, the house parties, and saying like, yo, like, I'm here, like, I guess off the top, yeah, just to give back and to like help cultivate and guide the next generation. There's a Anishinaabe teaching, the 7 generations concept. And the first time I heard that, I was like, that makes a lot of sense when you think about your life and intentionality and the way that you walk through the world, and the legacy that you want to leave behind, the impression that you want to make. I'm always encouraging young people to not just make art for art's sake, but also create something, or create a legacy or imprint or an impression, so that when you're gone, that essence and that energy is still here. Whether it's through the people that you teach or the words that you speak, like there's certain rappers, for example, who are not here, but their words, they still hold, they still hold power, they still hold energy, you know what I mean? So I feel like, that's my responsibility, is to pass down what I've learned, but then also to learn myself too, and that learning is not like a one-way street, and it's also cyclical, right? We talk about the medicine wheel. The youth are also teaching me things too. How to be patient, how to communicate with them, also how to like validate their experiences and their truth and the way that they see hip hop now, whether I like it or not. But I think there's like a tendency, to talk about different generations, to like criticize the next generation, like they're not doing it right, or that's not how it was, it's like that. Like you see a lot of that in black and indigenous communities, but you also see a lot of that in hip hop too, where OGs don't respect the youth don't respect the OGs, and it's like, I'm becoming an OG, I'm becoming an older head, and it's like being able to like bring what I need to share, but also like respecting what they have and their experience like right now.
Both of them ready. 2 moves, alright? Let's do this. DJ Light once again on the 1 and 2s. Drop the beat, let's go. R16 2009. Intro, baby. B-boys, y'all. Ho! Once again. Come on. Jane-Finch, Canada. Beat out, y'all. Here. B-boy battle, baby. Yeah. One last shall be mouth.